This is a Fox News alert. I'm Brett Baer in Washington. There is brand new evidence tonight of just how close the presidential race has become exactly 2 months before Election Day. A new Quinnipiac swing state poll has Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump tied at 47 apiece in Florida. Clinton 47, Trump 43 in North Carolina. Trump leads in Ohio 46 to 45. And Clinton is up 5 points in Pennsylvania. But most of these states, as you see, are well within the margin of error. Secretary Clinton is continuing to learn, meantime, that despite everything she's doing to tout her foreign policy and leadership credentials, the email scandal is not going away. She found that out last night during a commander-in-chief forum with Donald Trump. She also made a national security statement that prompted some clarification this morning. Fox News correspondent Jennifer Griffin is with the Clinton campaign tonight in Kansas City, where the candidate is about to speak.
I've been very clear.
Hillary Clinton held an impromptu news conference in part to clarify what she meant last night when she declared,
"They are not going to get ground troops. We are not putting ground troops into Iraq ever again, and we're not putting ground troops into Syria."
Last night, she seemed to discount the 4,460 U.S. troops already on the ground in Iraq and the 300 mostly special operators in Syria. This morning, a different tone.
I said this again last night. I support the air campaign. I support special forces. I support enablers. I support surveillance, intelligence, and reconnaissance.
Donald Trump responded, tweeting Clinton, quote, gave a disastrous news conference to make up for her poor performance. Nearly half the questions last night dealt with her private email server.
Secretary Clinton, how can you expect those such as myself who were and are entrusted with America's most sensitive information to have any confidence in your leadership as president when you clearly corrupted our national security?
Clinton defended her handling of classified information, arguing it lacked clear markings. An email exchange between her and former Secretary of State Colin Powell, released by Democrats last night, confirmed Powell advised Clinton how to use a private email account. Quote, be very careful. I got around it all by not saying much and not using systems that captured the data. You will find DS driving you crazy if you let them. Today, Powell issued a clarification. Quote, I was not trying to influence her, but just to explain what I had done 8 years earlier to begin the transformation of the State Department's information system. Clinton took aim at Donald Trump for talking about the intelligence briefings he has received so far.
I think what he said was totally inappropriate and undisciplined. I would never comment on any aspect of an intelligence briefing that I received.
And she called on Republicans to distance themselves from Trump's remarks.
What would Ronald Reagan say about a Republican nominee who attacks America's generals and heaps praise on Russia's president?
And quoted the former head of the National Counterterrorism Center, Matt Olson, who has analyzed interviews with ISIS members on social media. Quote, ISIS is rooting for Donald Trump.
They are saying, oh, please, Allah, make Trump president of America. Mm-hmm. So I'm not interested in giving aid and comfort to their evil ambitions. I want to defeat them.
Olson is one of 16 former national security advisors who will meet with Hillary Clinton in Manhattan tomorrow. Among them, General David Petraeus and Mike Vickers, the CIA analyst who oversaw the provision of Stinger missiles to the CIA under Ronald Reagan and a key player in the bin Laden raid. An indication of who may be a part of a potential cabinet, a bipartisan panel of former national security advisors. Brett?
Jennifer Griffin traveling with the Clinton campaign. Jennifer, thank you. Donald Trump continues to send out mixed signals on several of his plans, from his ISIS strategy to what he thinks of America's military leadership. But he is defending his performance last night and is focusing on the need for change in the country. Today, the nominee tried to turn the page to education. Chief political correspondent Carl Cameron is with the Trump campaign in Cleveland.
Donald Trump began an education reform speech in Ohio with a lengthy rehash of the battle between himself and Hillary Clinton at last night's forum on military and veterans affairs.
This is yet more evidence that Clinton is unfit to be your commander-in-chief.
Trump insisted he was always an opponent of the Iraq War. Notwithstanding his initial expression of support on Howard Stern's radio show, he read several of his subsequent interviews and statements of opposition. Following Clinton's appearance at the forum last night, Trump repeatedly raised eyebrows as he, among other things, defended his praise for Russian President Vladimir Putin and criticized U.S. military generals.
I think under the leadership of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, the generals have been reduced to rubble. Well, they'd probably be different generals, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm looking at the generals.
Lest he get on the wrong side of the armed forces, Trump tried to focus his criticism on the president and former Secretary of State.
I have great faith in the military. I have great faith in certain of the commanders, certainly, but I have no faith in Hillary Clinton or the leadership.
But when asked about a controversial tweet in 2013 in which Trump wrote, quote, 26,000 unreported sexual assaults in the military, only 238 convictions. What did these geniuses expect when they put men and women together? Trump did not back down.
Well, it is a correct tweet. There are many people that think that that's absolutely correct.
Trump made public that his classified briefers think little of Obama.
Barack Obama did not follow what our experts said to do. And I could tell, I have pretty good with the body language, I could tell they were not happy.
Clinton, for the third time this week, spoke to reporters and attacked Trump.
We saw more evidence that he is temperamentally unfit and totally unqualified to be commander-in-chief. He trash-talked American generals, saying they've been, quote, reduced to rubble. He suggested he would fire them and replace them with his hand-picked generals.
The Trump campaign fired back, quote, Hillary Clinton again failed the commander-in-chief test, where she was unable to answer for her terrible foreign policy judgment, mishandling of classified information, and claims that the VA wait time scandal was overblown. Overseas, President Obama, traveling in Laos, urged voters and reporters to closely scrutinize Trump.
Just listen to what he says and follow up and ask questions about what appear to be either contradictory or uninformed or outright wacky ideas.
Trump earlier this week said if elected, in his first 30 days, he'd have the military draw up a plan to quickly destroy ISIS. Last night, he again insisted he also has a secret plan of his own.
I don't want to broadcast to the enemy exactly what my plan is.
Trump tried to pivot to education and school choice today at the Cleveland Arts and Social Services Academy.
Obviously, Common Core does not work.
He proposed billions of dollars in federal education block grants to create scholarships for children living in poverty to attend better schools of their choosing. The school he chose for the speech received a D rating in 2015 on Ohio's State Performance Index and an F for indicators met. Campaign cash in the last 60 days of an election can often be crucial. And the Trump campaign announced today that in August, it ended the month with $97 million in the bank. Hillary Clinton ended the month with $152. Brett?
Carl Cameron with the Trump campaign in Cleveland. Carl, thanks. Many media outlets, the media who report on the media, are saying today the real loser during last night's forum with the nominees was the moderator. And there was also a social media frenzy today about whether Clinton was receiving any help through an earpiece. Fox News media analyst and the host of Fox's Media Buzz, Howard Kurtz, has the report.
Matt Lauer wasn't throwing softballs at NBC's Commander-in-Chief forum. He pressed Hillary Clinton on emailing classified information.
You were communicating on highly sensitive topics. Why wasn't it more than a mistake? Why wasn't it disqualifying?
And he pressed Donald Trump for making, quote, inflammatory comments.
If you say things you regret when you're commander-in-chief, you can spark a conflict, you can destabilize a region, you can put American lives at risk. Can we afford to take that risk with you?
But the Today Show anchor is drawing harsh criticism from both sides, especially from the left, much of it highly partisan. Clinton backers say Lauer was tougher on her and interrupted her more.
Right, but you said you think you're going to cheat.
Look, this is an important issue. I know we're on TV. We don't have a lot of time.
I want to get to a lot of questions.
I will talk quickly.
Which happened more as the clock was winding down. Top Clinton surrogate Neera Tanden even said people were suggesting this was sexist. A New York Times news story said Lauer surrenders to Trump. But Breitbart.com, controlled by Trump's campaign chief, ripped Lauer for asking no questions about the Clinton Foundation. Lauer did make a major misstep in failing to follow up on this response.
And I was against the war in Iraq because I said it's going to totally destabilize the Middle East, which it has.
By neglecting to note that Trump voiced lukewarm support for the war before the 2003 invasion. One advantage for Trump, no mention of recent controversies from his foundation to Trump University that are unrelated to national security. NBC could have had a military expert join Lauer, but veterans in the audience confronted both nominees. In the wake of last night's forum, Trump's son, Donald Jr., caused a stir by tweeting a link to a site that specializes in conspiracy theories, asking, was Hillary wearing an earpiece during last night's presidential forum? There's zero evidence of that, just as there was nothing to support the chatter that George W. Bush had hidden some kind of device during a 2004 debate. The hammering of a veteran interviewer like Matt Lauer is a preview of what Lester Holt, Anderson Cooper, Martha Raddatz, and our colleague Chris Wallace can expect during the debates. From polarized punditry to toxic tweets, the moderators will be hit as hard as the candidates. Brett?
We should point out the Clinton campaign vehemently denied that there was any earpiece at all and laughed it off. Hillary Clinton held her first news conference, actual news conference, in 9 months today, Howie. So, you'd think the press would be really ready for that. How'd they handle it?
Well, there were some good questions, but also some wasted questions, Brett, about why Hillary isn't leading Donald Trump by more in the polls, and the RNC's accusation that she didn't smile during the forum. Maybe the press corps is a bit rusty after 9 months. Now, the email scandal did not come up during today's first press conference, but that subject had been raised a couple of times during press goggles this week on Hillary Clinton's plane.
Yeah, a couple of them on the plane. Howie, as always, thank you.
Thanks.
One of the toughest moments for Hillary Clinton last night came when an audience member asked how she could be trusted after she had, in his words, clearly corrupted our national security. Her answer seemed to go against what the FBI director has said.
You know, and I know, classified material is designated. It is marked. There is a header so that there is no dispute at all that what is being communicated to or from someone who has that access is marked classified.
From the group of 30,000 emails returned to the State Department in 2014, 110 emails in 52 email chains have been determined by the owning agency to contain classified information at the time they were sent or received.
Comey went on to say it doesn't really matter whether they were marked or not. They were classified and in the private server. Joining us now to discuss the latest on the Clinton email scandal and all things Hillary is Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano. First of all, your thoughts of her answers and the context we're dealing with now.
She is forgetting that on her first day in office, she had a 2-hour tutorial from 2 FBI agents specializing in national security who explained to her her obligation in the proper care and handling of national security secrets and her obligation of recognizing those secrets, whether there's a header on them or not. And at the end of that 2-hour tutorial, she signed an oath promising to obey the law and to recognize secrets on the basis of their contents, not on the basis of what's stamped on them.
Democrats will say it's over. Get over it. Move past it. Nancy Pelosi said that today. There's not going to be criminal prosecution. Can we say that?
I don't know that we can say that. I'm disappointed in the FBI not having gone down a lot of trails here. Destruction of evidence, obstruction of justice. Even her aides lying to the FBI, some saying we didn't know about the private server when, of course, they helped set the private server up. But she, in her answer last night to that veteran and to Matt Lauer, materially misled the public. What makes a document classified is not the header. It's not even a letter in the margin. It's the contents of the document itself.
So when you hear and see that letter that Jim Comey, FBI director, sent internally defending the decision, saying it's not a cliffhanger, what do you think?
I think the FBI was told to exonerate Mrs. Clinton at the outset of their investigation, and I say that for a number of reasons. No grand jury was summoned. No evidence was presented to a grand jury. No subpoena was issued. No search warrant was issued. If you read the FBI documents that came out the weekend before Labor Day, there are 5 times in there in which the author of those documents said, we couldn't find, we didn't have, we hoped we could acquire. That's because their hands were tied by whatever political forces are controlling the FBI.
Last thing, Jason Chaffetz, the House Oversight Committee, says he's going to hold hearings about the timeline when the emails were destroyed after they were subpoenaed by Congress. Potentially another issue here, or is this Congress kind of holding hearings that don't get any place?
I commend Congressman Chaffetz, but it's too little too late. Nothing's going to happen to Mrs. Clinton in terms of a criminal prosecution before Election Day. It should have happened when Jim Comey made his statement in July.
But we don't know about the foundation investigation.
No, that's another whole area, Brett.
Judge, as always, thank you.
Thank you.